Bear cub was clinging to a wind turbine blade, 200 feet high. What this baby did was shocking. Let us know where you're watching from. If you love my content, consider supporting it with a super thanks. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us to remain in touch with amazing people like you. The morning started like any other in Pine Valley, with the giant wind turbines spinning lazily against the cloudy sky. Brianna Knox sat by her kitchen window, gently rocking her 8-month-old daughter Luna in her arms. The baby's bright green eyes followed every movement outside, especially fascinated by the massive, white blades cutting through the air just half a mile away from their small house. "Look at those big fans, sweetheart," Brianna whispered, pointing toward the turbines. Luna giggled and reached her tiny hands toward the window, as if trying to grab the distant spinning blades. The sound they made was like a soft whoosh that seemed to calm the baby whenever she got fussy. Brianna's husband Dylan was already at work at the power plant, monitoring the turbines from his control room. He had always told her how safe and reliable these machines were, but something about their towering height always made her feel small and vulnerable. Today felt different, though. The wind was stronger than usual, and the turbines were spinning faster, creating an almost hypnotic rhythm. As Brianna prepared Luna's morning bottle, she noticed something moving near the base of the closest turbine. At first, she thought it might be a dog or maybe a deer, but when she grabbed Dylan's binoculars from the shelf, her heart nearly stopped. A small brown bear cub was wandering around the turbine's base, looking lost and confused. Its mother was nowhere to be seen. "Oh no, little one," Brianna whispered, still holding Luna, who was now reaching for the binoculars. "Where's your mama?" The cub seemed distressed, circling the white tower and making small crying sounds that even from this distance made Brianna's heart ache. She had lived in Pine Valley her whole life and knew that bear cubs never wandered alone unless something terrible had happened. The mountain forests surrounding their valley were full of dangers, and a cub this young wouldn't survive long without its mother. Luna started making her own soft babbling sounds, almost as if she was responding to the distant cub's cries. Brianna found this strange because Luna was usually quiet in the mornings, content to just watch the world through the window. But today, she seemed unusually alert and active, her little fists opening and closing as she stared in the direction of the turbine. Brianna quickly called Dylan at work. "Honey, there's a bear cub by turbine number 3. It looks lost and scared. Should I call someone?" Dylan's voice crackled through the phone. "A cub? That's odd. I'm looking at the cameras now, but I can't see it from this angle. Are you sure it's alone?" "Positive. I've been watching it for 10 minutes. It keeps crying and walking in circles." "Dylan, what if its mother is hurt or—" Brianna couldn't finish the sentence. "Stay inside with Luna. I'll contact the wildlife department and see if they can send someone out. These turbines are dangerous, especially with the wind picking up like this." As Brianna hung up, she noticed the cub had started climbing. Not just exploring around the base, but actually climbing up the turbine service ladder that maintenance workers used. Her stomach dropped as she watched the tiny animal pull itself higher and higher, rung by rung. "No, no, no," she breathed, pressing her face against the window. Luna seemed to sense her mother's distress and started making louder sounds, almost like she was calling out to the climbing cub. The cub was now about 50 feet up the 200-foot tower and showing no signs of stopping. Brianna could see its small form clinging to the metal ladder, moving with surprising determination for such a young animal. But what terrified her most was that she knew bear cubs, unlike cats, couldn't climb back down the same way they went up. Once it reached a certain height, it would be trapped. She called Dylan again, her voice shaking. "It's climbing the tower. Dylan, it's actually climbing up toward the blades." "What? That's impossible. The safety barriers should prevent any animal from—" "I'm watching it happen right now. You need to stop the turbine before it gets too high." Luna's babbling had turned into something that almost sounded like words, though that was impossible at her age. She kept making a sound that resembled up, up, while pointing toward the window. Brianna had never seen her daughter so focused on anything before. Through the binoculars, Brianna watched in horror as the cub continued its climb. At 100 feet, it paused, looking around as if suddenly realizing how high it had gone. The wind was getting stronger, and the turbine blades were spinning faster, creating a dangerous downdraft that could easily knock the small animal off the tower. "Dylan, you have to shut down Turbine 3 right now." "I'm trying, but the system isn't responding. There seems to be some kind of technical issue with the remote shutdown. I'm calling for emergency maintenance, but it could take an hour for them to get there." Brianna felt tears forming in her eyes as she watched the cub, now at 150 feet, continue its desperate climb. Luna had gone completely silent, staring intensely out the window with an expression that seemed far too mature for a baby. It was as if she understood exactly what was happening and was concentrating with every fiber of her being. The cub reached the top of the tower, just below where the massive blades were attached. At 200 feet above the ground, it looked like a tiny speck clinging to the white metal. But then, something even more terrifying happened. Instead of staying on the tower, the cub started moving out onto one of the turbine blades. "Oh, God!" Brianna gasped, her hands shaking as she held the binoculars. "It's on the blade. Dylan, the cub is on the actual blade." The wind turbine blade was smooth fiberglass, offering very little grip for small claws. The cub was now clinging to the edge of the slowly rotating blade, 200 feet above the rocky ground below. One slip, one gust of wind, and it would fall to its death. Luna suddenly let out a cry, unlike anything Brianna had ever heard from her daughter. It was piercing and clear, cutting through the morning air like a siren. At the same moment, something impossible happened. The wind turbine began to slow down. Not stop completely, but the blades were definitely rotating much more slowly than they had been just moments before. Brianna looked down at her 8-month-old daughter in amazement. Luna was still crying, but it wasn't the usual baby cry. It was rhythmic, almost like she was trying to communicate something urgent. And incredibly, the turbine seemed to be responding to her voice. "Dylan," Brianna whispered into the phone, "something very strange is happening here." Dylan's voice came through, crackling with static. "What do you mean, strange?" "The maintenance team is still 20 minutes out, and I can't get the emergency shutdown to work from here." Brianna watched in disbelief as Luna continued her rhythmic crying, and the turbine blade kept slowing down. The cub, sensing the reduced movement, managed to get a better grip and pulled itself slightly higher onto the blade's surface. It was still in terrible danger, but at least it wasn't being thrown around by the violent spinning motion anymore. "The turbine is slowing down, Dylan. I know this sounds crazy, but it started happening right when Luna began crying. Not her normal crying, something different." "That's impossible, Bree. The wind is actually picking up according to my readings. If anything, the turbines should be spinning faster right now." Brianna looked down at Luna, who had stopped crying but was now making soft cooing sounds while staring intently at the turbine. Her tiny hands were pressed against the window glass, and her green eyes seemed to glow with an intensity that made Brianna's skin prickle with goosebumps. "Dylan, I need you to come home. Right now. Something is happening with Luna that I can't explain. I can't leave the control room during an emergency situation like this. The power company would fire me if I abandoned my post with a bear cub stuck on one of the turbines. Through the binoculars, Brianna could see the cub more clearly now. It was a young female, probably only 3 or 4 months old, with chocolate-brown fur that was being whipped around by the wind. The little bear was trying to move further along the blade, away from the spinning hub, but each step was precarious. The fiberglass surface offered almost no traction for her small claws. What struck Brianna most was how the cub kept looking in the direction of their house. Even from 200 feet away and half a mile distance, it seemed like the baby bear was looking directly at their window, directly at Luna. Luna had gone completely quiet now, but her breathing had changed. Instead of the quick, shallow breaths of a normal baby, she was taking deep, steady breaths that seemed to match some kind of rhythm. Brianna placed her hand on Luna's chest and felt her heart beating in a slow, powerful pattern that seemed almost impossible for such a small child. "Mama," Luna said clearly. Brianna nearly dropped the phone. Luna had never said a word before. At 8 months old, she was still in the babbling stage, making sounds like ba-ba and da-da, but nothing that resembled actual words. "Did she just?" Brianna started to say, but Luna spoke again. "Mama Bear," the baby said, pointing directly at the turbine. Dylan's voice came through the phone urgently. "Brianna, are you there? What's happening?" "Dylan, Luna just spoke, real words. She said, 'Mama Bear,' and she's pointing at the turbine." "Babies don't just start talking in complete sentences, Bree. Maybe you're stressed from watching the cub and you're hearing things." But Brianna knew what she had heard. Luna was looking at her now with those bright green eyes, and there was something ancient and knowing in that gaze that made Brianna's hands tremble. This wasn't her normal baby daughter anymore. Something had changed in the last few minutes, something that went beyond normal human development. Luna reached up and touched Brianna's face with her tiny hand. "Mama scared," she said softly. "Baby Bear scared too." Brianna felt tears rolling down her cheeks, not just because her daughter was speaking, but because of the tone Luna used. It was gentle and comforting, like she was trying to reassure her mother that everything would be okay. But how could an 8-month-old baby understand such complex emotions? "Luna, sweetie, how are you talking to Mama?" Luna smiled, a knowing smile that seemed far too mature for her age. "Talk to Bear Baby. Bear Baby, talk back." Brianna looked through the binoculars again and gasped. The cub on the turbine blade was sitting up now, no longer clinging desperately to the surface. It was looking directly toward their house and making small huffing sounds that almost seemed like it was trying to communicate. "Dylan, I'm looking at the cub right now, and I swear it's trying to talk to Luna. This is beyond anything I've ever seen or heard of. Brianna, you're scaring me. Bears don't communicate with human babies. That's just not possible." Luna turned back to the window and made a series of soft sounds that weren't quite words, but weren't baby babble either. They were rhythmic and purposeful, almost like she was speaking in some kind of language that Brianna didn't understand. As Luna made these sounds, the wind around the turbine began to calm down. The morning had been blustery and chaotic, but now the air seemed to grow still. "Bear Mama hurt," Luna said suddenly, turning back to Brianna with sad eyes. "Bear Mama can't come. Bear Baby's scared. Where's the Mama Bear, Luna? How do you know she's hurt?" Luna pointed toward the mountains behind the turbines. "Fall down, rock fall, Mama Bear sleeping." Brianna's heart sank. If Luna was somehow right about this, it meant the mother bear was either seriously injured or dead, and the cub was truly orphaned. But how could her baby daughter possibly know this information? Dylan's voice crackled through the phone again. Brianna, I'm getting reports from the other operators. They're saying the wind patterns around Turbine 3 are completely different from the rest of the valley. It's like there's a calm zone just around that one turbine. That's what I'm seeing too. The wind has calmed down significantly in the last few minutes. That doesn't make meteorological sense. Weather patterns don't just change in isolated pockets like that. Luna was making her soft communication sounds again, and this time Brianna noticed something incredible. Each time Luna made a sound, the cub on the turbine blade responded with its own vocalization. They were actually having a conversation, a baby bear and a human baby, across half a mile of distance and 200 feet of height. Dylan, they're talking to each other. Luna and the cub are actually communicating. Brianna, I need you to listen to me carefully. What you're describing is impossible. I think the stress of this situation is making you imagine things that aren't really happening. But as Dylan spoke, Luna turned to look at the phone in Brianna's hand. Daddy's scared too, she said. Daddy not understand. Dylan's voice went silent on the other end of the line. Dylan? Did you hear that? Yes, I heard it. But Brianna, babies don't develop language skills this quickly. There has to be a logical explanation. Luna giggled, a sound that was both completely normal and deeply unsettling at the same time. Daddy funny. Luna always understand. Luna just not talk before. Brianna sat down heavily in her kitchen chair, still holding Luna and the binoculars. Her daughter felt different in her arms, not physically, but somehow more present, more aware. It was like Luna had been watching and understanding everything for months, but had only now decided to reveal her abilities. Luna, sweetheart, how long have you been able to talk? Always talk, inside head. Now talk outside too because Bear Baby need help. Through the binoculars, Brianna watched as the cub began moving again. But instead of the desperate, panicked movements from before, the little bear was moving with purpose and confidence. It was making its way along the turbine blade toward the hub, where there was a small maintenance platform. The cub is moving toward the center of the turbine, Brianna reported to Dylan. It's like it knows exactly where to go. That platform is only meant for human maintenance workers. There's no way a bear cub could understand the layout of the turbine structure. But as they watched, the cub reached the platform and settled down in what appeared to be a safe position. It was still 200 feet above the ground, but at least it was on a stable surface instead of clinging to the smooth blade. Luna clapped her hands together. Good bear baby, smart bear baby. Luna, did you tell the cub to go there? Luna, show safe place. Bear baby, listen, good. Brianna felt a chill run down her spine. If Luna was telling the truth, she had somehow communicated detailed information about the turbine's structure to a wild animal. But how was that possible? And more importantly, what other abilities might her daughter have that she hadn't discovered yet? The phone crackled again. Brianna, I'm seeing something strange on the monitoring equipment. The vibration patterns from Turbine 3 have changed completely. It's almost like the machine is running in a different mode than it's supposed to. What does that mean? I'm not sure. The blade rotation has slowed down to about half normal speed, but the power output hasn't decreased proportionally. If anything, it's generating more electricity than it should be at that rotation rate. Luna was listening to Dylan's voice through the phone, and she nodded as if she understood every technical detail he was discussing. Turbine happy now, she said matter-of-factly. Wind and Bear baby friends. Brianna looked at her daughter with a mixture of wonder and fear. Luna, how do you know about wind turbines and electricity? Luna know lots of things. Luna listen to Daddy talk about work. Luna understand. But you've never shown any signs of understanding adult conversations before. Luna smiled again, that same knowing smile that seemed to hold secrets Brianna couldn't begin to comprehend. Luna, wait for right time to show. Now is right time because Bear Baby need help. Dylan's voice came through the phone with urgency. Brianna, the maintenance crew just called. They're saying they can see the cub on the platform, but there's something else. They're reporting unusual electromagnetic activity around the turbine. Their equipment is giving readings they've never seen before. What kind of electromagnetic activity? I don't know. They're talking about energy fields and frequency patterns that don't match anything in their training manuals. Luna was quiet for a moment, seeming to concentrate on something. Then she looked up at Brianna with serious eyes. Luna need to go closer to Bear, Baby? What do you mean, closer? Luna need to be near Big Fan. Help Bear Baby come down safe. Brianna felt her heart racing. Absolutely not, Luna. It's too dangerous. We're staying right here in the house. Bear Baby fall if Luna not help. Mama Bear's still sleeping. Luna only one who can talk to Bear Baby. The conviction in Luna's voice was frightening. She spoke with the certainty of an adult who had thought through all the possibilities and reached a logical conclusion. But she was still just an 8-month-old baby, and the idea of taking her anywhere near a 200-foot wind turbine was terrifying. Dylan, Brianna said into the phone, Luna wants to go to the turbine to help the cub. Absolutely not. Keep her inside and away from the windows. This whole situation is getting too strange, and I don't want either of you near that turbine until we figure out what's happening. But Luna had heard Dylan's response, and she shook her head firmly. Daddy not understand. Bear Baby scared, time running out. As if to emphasize Luna's point, the wind began to pick up again. The calm zone around the turbine started to dissipate, and the blade began spinning faster. The cub, sensing the change, stood up on the platform and began making distressed sounds that carried across the valley. Luna's eyes filled with tears. Bear Baby scared again. Luna must help now. Brianna watched through the binoculars as the cub started to panic. The increased wind was creating vibrations in the turbine structure, and the platform was beginning to shake. The little bear was trying to hold on, but its claws couldn't find purchase on the metal surface. Dylan, the cub is in trouble. The wind is picking up again, and the platform is shaking. The maintenance crew is still 15 minutes out. There's nothing we can do from here. Luna looked up at Brianna with determination in her green eyes. Luna can help. Luna make wind calm again, but need to be closer. How can you make the wind calm, sweetheart? Luna talked to wind same way Luna talked to Bear Baby. Wind listened to Luna. Brianna stared at her daughter, trying to process what she was hearing. If Luna was telling the truth, she had some kind of ability to communicate with and influence natural forces. It sounded impossible, but she had already witnessed her baby daughter talking to a bear cub and somehow affecting the operation of a wind turbine. The cub's cries were getting more desperate, and Brianna could see it was losing its grip on the platform. In a few minutes, it would either fall to its death or be thrown off by the increasing vibrations from the turbine. Please, Mama, Luna said, reaching toward the door. Luna, save Bear Baby. Luna, promise be safe. Brianna looked at her 8-month-old daughter, who was speaking with the vocabulary and emotional intelligence of a much older child, and made a decision that would change their lives forever. Okay, Luna, we'll go closer to the turbine, but you have to promise me you'll stay in my arms the entire time. Luna smiled and clapped her hands together. Luna, promise. Bear Baby be safe now. As Brianna gathered her coat and Luna's blanket, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to witness something that would challenge everything she thought she knew about the world. Her baby daughter was no ordinary child, And the connection between Luna and the bear cub was just the beginning of a story that would prove the impossible was not only possible, but was happening right here in Pine Valley. Brianna wrapped Luna in her favorite yellow blanket and stepped outside into the morning air. The wind hit her face immediately, much stronger than it had seemed from inside the house. But as they walked toward the turbine, she noticed something remarkable happening. The wind around them began to calm, creating a bubble of stillness that moved with them as they walked. "Luna, is this you doing this?" Luna nodded seriously. "Wind know Luna need help, bear baby. Wind be gentle for Luna." Dylan's voice crackled through Brianna's phone, which she had clipped to her jacket. "Brianna, where are you? I'm not seeing you in the house anymore on the security camera." "We're walking toward the turbine. Luna says she can help the cub." "Are you insane? Get back inside immediately. I'm leaving the control room right now." "Dylan, you can't leave your post. And Luna is doing something to the wind. I can't explain it, but we're completely safe out here." As they got closer to the turbine, Brianna could hear the bear cub's cries more clearly. The little animal was making a specific pattern of sounds, almost like it was calling for help in a language only Luna could understand. Luna responded with her own soft vocalizations, and immediately the cub's cries became less panicked. "Good bear, baby," Luna said. Luna coming to help. But as they approached the base of the turbine, Brianna saw something that made her blood run cold. Fresh scratches in the dirt around the tower's base, and tufts of brown fur caught on the fence surrounding the turbine. Large tufts of fur that could only have come from an adult bear. "Luna, look at this. There was a bigger bear here recently." Luna studied the scratches in the ground with eyes that seemed far too analytical for a baby. "Mama bear try to climb up to save baby bear, but mama bear too heavy, fall down, and get hurt." "How do you know all this, sweetheart?" Luna seein' head. When Luna talked to bear baby show Luna pictures of what happened. Brianna knelt down to examine the scratches more closely. They were deep gouges in the earth, the kind that would only be made by a large animal in distress. The pattern suggested that an adult bear had tried repeatedly to climb the turbine tower but had fallen back each time. "Bear, baby show Luna, where mama bear go," Luna said, pointing toward a rocky outcropping about a quarter-mile away. "Mama bear hurt bad, need help too." Dylan's voice came through the phone breathlessly. "I'm in my truck now, driving toward you. Brianna, the other operators are reporting that all 5 turbines in the valley are showing unusual behavior. Whatever is happening with Turbine 3 is affecting the entire wind farm." "What kind of unusual behavior?" "They're all rotating in sync now, even though the wind patterns should be different at each location. It's like they're communicating with each other." Brianna looked up at the massive turbine towering above them. From this close, she could see the bear cub clearly on the maintenance platform. The little animal was sitting calmly now, occasionally making soft sounds toward Luna. But what caught Brianna's attention was the way the turbine blades were moving. They weren't just spinning in a circle anymore, they were moving in a complex pattern, almost like they were dancing. "Luna, are you making the turbine move that way?" Luna asked Turbine to help bear baby feel safe. Turbine very smart. Turbine understand. "Sweetheart, turbines are machines. They can't understand things." Luna looked at Brianna with patient eyes, as if she were explaining something simple to someone who just couldn't grasp it. "Everything understand, Mama. People just forget how to listen." As Luna spoke, Brianna felt a vibration through the ground under her feet. It was rhythmic and gentle, like a giant heartbeat coming from deep in the earth. She looked around and realized the vibration was coming from all the turbines in the valley, all pulsing in the same rhythm. "Dylan, are you feeling vibrations from the turbines?" "I'm seeing it on all the monitoring equipment. The entire wind farm is operating like a single organism. Brianna, this is impossible. These machines aren't designed to coordinate with each other like this." Luna was making her soft communication sounds again, and the bear cub responded from its perch 200 feet above. But this time, Brianna heard something else. Other sounds from the forest around them. Birds were singing in harmonious patterns, and she could hear rustling in the bushes that sounded almost musical. "Luna, are you talking to all the animals?" "Animals always talk, Mama." Luna, just first person in long time who remember how to listen back. A red-tailed hawk landed on the fence post next to them and began making a series of calls that seemed to be directed at Luna. Luna responded with sounds that were somehow similar to the hawk's calls but still recognizably human. The hawk tilted its head, listening intently, then took off toward the rocky outcropping where Luna had said the mother bear was injured. "Hawk, go check on Mama Bear," Luna explained. "Hawk, tell Luna if Mama Bear's still alive." Brianna stared at her daughter in amazement. "Luna, how long have you been able to do all this?" "Luna always can do, but Mama and Daddy get scared if Luna show too much too fast. Luna, wait for right time. And this is the right time. Bear, baby need help now. Can't wait anymore." Dylan's truck came roaring up the access road, kicking up dust as he skidded to a stop near the turbine base. He jumped out, his face pale with worry and confusion. "Brianna, what the hell is happening here? The entire power grid is acting like it's alive." Luna smiled at her father. "Hi, Daddy. Luna help bear baby now?" Dylan's jaw dropped as he heard his daughter speak in complete sentences. How is she talking like that?" "There's a lot we need to discuss, Dylan. But right now, we need to focus on helping that cub." The hawk returned, circling overhead and calling to Luna. Luna listened to its cries and then turned to her parents with sad eyes. "Mama Bear very hurt. Rock fall on Mama Bear's leg. Mama Bear can't move." "Luna, how do you know what the hawk is telling you?" "Hawk, speak with pictures and feelings. Same way bear baby speak, same way wind speak." Dylan looked up at the turbine where the bear cub was still perched on the maintenance platform. "Okay, let's say I believe all this crazy stuff that's happening. How do we get the cub down safely?" Luna looked thoughtful for a moment, then pointed to the service ladder on the turbine tower. "Daddy, climb up and bring bear baby down." "Luna, that's a 200-foot climb, and I'm not trained for that kind of rescue." "Bear baby trust Daddy. Luna, tell bear baby Daddy is safe person." "Even if I could make that climb, how would I carry a bear cub down? It might panic and scratch or bite me." Luna shook her head confidently. "Bear baby very gentle. Bear baby know Daddy helping." Brianna watched as Luna made her communication sounds toward the cub. The little bear responded immediately, and then did something that made all three humans gasp. It stood up on the platform and began climbing down the ladder by itself. "Oh my God," Dylan breathed. "It's climbing down on its own." "Luna, tell bear baby how to be safe on ladder," Luna explained. "Show bear baby where to put paws." The cub was moving slowly and carefully, but with obvious purpose. It seemed to know exactly where to place its paws for the best grip, and it paused at regular intervals as if listening for further instructions from Luna. "Dylan," Brianna said urgently, "you need to be ready to help when it gets closer to the ground. What if it falls the last part of the way?" Dylan positioned himself at the base of the ladder, looking up nervously as the cub continued its descent. I can't believe I'm about to catch a wild bear cub." "Bear baby, not wild," Luna corrected. "Bear baby, scared and lonely. Bear baby, want family." As the cub reached about 50 feet from the ground, it paused and looked down at the humans below. Then it made a series of soft, huffing sounds that Luna immediately responded to. "Bear baby want to know if Daddy really safe," Luna translated. Dylan looked up at the cub and spoke in a gentle voice. "It's okay, little one. I'm here to help you." The cub seemed to consider this, then continued climbing down. But when it reached about 20 feet from the ground, it stopped again and began making more urgent sounds. Luna's expression became worried. "Bear, baby, say something wrong. Feel danger coming." "What kind of danger?" Brianna asked. Before Luna could answer, they heard the sound of heavy footsteps crashing through the forest. Something large was moving toward them through the trees, breaking branches and causing small avalanches of rocks. Dylan grabbed Brianna's arm. "We need to get out of here. That sounds like a full-grown bear." But Luna shook her head. "Not bear, something else, something angry." The footsteps were getting closer, and now they could hear huffing and grunting sounds that definitely weren't coming from a bear. Dylan looked around frantically for somewhere to take cover, but they were in an open area around the turbine with nowhere to hide. "Luna, can you talk to whatever is coming?" Luna concentrated for a moment, her face scrunched up with effort, then her eyes went wide with fear. "Not animal, not normal thing, something broken inside." A massive shape burst out of the tree line, and all three humans screamed. It was a bear, but not like any bear they had ever seen. This one was huge, probably 8 feet tall when standing on its hind legs, with matted fur and wild, bloodshot eyes. But what made it truly terrifying was that it was clearly injured and in pain, with multiple wounds across its body and foam around its mouth. "Rabies," Dylan whispered. "That bear has rabies." The infected bear spotted them immediately and reared up on its hind legs, letting out a roar that shook the ground. The bear cub on the ladder began crying frantically, and Luna started making desperate communication sounds. "Luna can't talk to sick bear," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Sickness make bear's mind broken. Can't hear Luna." The rabid bear dropped to all fours and began charging toward them. Dylan grabbed Brianna and Luna, pulling them behind the turbine tower, but they all knew it was only a temporary shelter. "The truck!" Dylan shouted. "We need to get to the truck." But the bear was between them and Dylan's vehicle. And worse, the sick animal seemed to be focused on the sound of the bear cub's cries from above. It began trying to climb the turbine tower, its massive claws scraping against the metal as it pulled itself upward. "It's going after the cub," Brianna realized in horror. Luna was crying now, not her normal baby cry, but the heartbroken sobs of someone watching a tragedy unfold. Sick bear hurt baby bear. Luna can't stop sick bear. The rabid bear was surprisingly agile for its size, and was already 30 feet up the tower. The cub above was panicking, trying to climb back up to get away from the approaching threat. Dylan looked around desperately. "There has to be something we can do." That's when Luna stopped crying and looked at her parents with a determination that was frightening in its intensity. "Luna have to do big thing now, scary thing." "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "Luna have to talk to Turbine Spirit, ask for help. But Turbine Spirit very powerful. Might be too much for Luna." "Luna, you're scaring me. What's a Turbine Spirit?" But Luna was already closing her eyes and placing her tiny hands on the base of the turbine tower. As soon as her skin made contact with the metal, the entire structure began to vibrate with a deep, thrumming sound that seemed to come from somewhere far beneath the earth. The wind around them began to swirl in impossible patterns, creating a vortex that centered on Luna's small form. Her hair was whipping around her face, but her expression was peaceful and focused. "Luna!" Brianna shouted over the increasing wind. "What's happening?" But Luna didn't respond. She was somewhere else, communicating with something vast and ancient that lived within the spinning blades and the electrical current flowing through the turbine systems. The rabid bear, now 60 feet up the tower, suddenly stopped climbing. It looked around in confusion as the wind patterns changed, then began making distressed sounds as it realized it couldn't maintain its grip on the increasingly vibrating tower. The turbine blades above began spinning faster and faster, creating a downdraft so powerful that it started pulling the sick bear away from the tower. The animal roared in frustration and fear as it was forced to climb back down. "Luna's controlling the entire turbine," Dylan said in amazement. "She's using it to create a barrier." But the effort was clearly taking a toll on Luna. Her small body was trembling, and her face was pale with exhaustion. Brianna tried to touch her daughter's shoulder, but a shock of electrical energy threw her backward. "I can't touch her," Brianna cried. "She's surrounded by some kind of energy field." The bear cub, sensing that the immediate danger was passing, began climbing down again. But it was moving much faster now, almost sliding down the ladder in its eagerness to get away from the turbine and the chaotic energy surrounding it. The rabid bear reached the ground and tried to charge at them again, but the wind barrier Luna had created was too strong. Every time the sick animal tried to get close, it was blown backward by gusts that seemed to come from all directions at once. Luna opened her eyes, and Brianna gasped. Her daughter's green eyes were now glowing with the soft light that pulsed in rhythm with the turbine's rotation. "Turbine spirit very old," Luna said, her voice echoing strangely. "Turbine spirit remember when Valley was different, when bears and people were friends. Luna, you're scaring us. Please come back." "Luna's still here, Mama, but Luna bigger now. Luna connected to big energy." The bear cub reached the ground and immediately ran to Luna, pressing itself against her legs despite the energy field surrounding her. The little animal seemed unaffected by the electrical charge that had thrown Brianna backward. "Bear, baby safe now," Luna said, reaching down to gently stroke the cub's fur. "But Mama Bear still need help, and Sick Bear need help too." "Luna, that bear has rabies. It's dangerous. We can't help it." Luna looked at the rabid bear, which was still trying unsuccessfully to break through the wind barrier. Sick bear not really sick. Sick bear poisoned. "What do you mean, poisoned?" "Something bad in water where bears drink. Make bears crazy, make bears forget how to be bears." Dylan's face went pale. "The mining runoff. The copper mine upstream has been leaking chemicals into the watershed for months." "Mining poison hurt many animals," Luna confirmed. Turbine spirits show Luna pictures of sick water, dead fish, confused animals. Brianna felt her heart breaking as she realized the scope of what Luna was revealing. There are more animals affected by this. Many animals sick. But Luna can help if Mama and Daddy believe in Luna. The rabid bear had stopped trying to attack and was now sitting on the ground, looking confused and lost. The foam around its mouth was beginning to clear, and its eyes were losing some of their wild appearance. "Wind taking poison out of Sick Bear's body," Luna explained. "Turbine spirit know how to clean poison." As they watched, the bear's behavior began to change dramatically. The aggressive posture relaxed, and it started grooming itself in a normal, non-frantic way. Within minutes, it looked like a completely different animal. "Luna, did you just cure that bear of rabies?" "Not rabies, chemical poison. Turbine spirit have power to clean bad things from air and water and animals." The formerly rabid bear looked around as if seeing its surroundings clearly for the first time in months. When it spotted the bear cub pressed against Luna, it made a soft huffing sound and began walking slowly toward them. That's the baby's mother, Brianna realized. That's not a different bear. That's the cub's mother, and she was poisoned by the mining chemicals. Luna smiled, and the glow in her eyes began to fade. Mama Bear remember now. Poison made Mama Bear forget Baby Bear, but Turbine's spirit clean Mama Bear's mind. The reunion between the mother bear and her cub was one of the most beautiful things Brianna had ever witnessed. The large bear nuzzled her baby gently, making soft sounds of relief and joy. The cub climbed onto its mother's back, chattering excitedly as if telling her about the adventure. But Luna suddenly swayed on her feet, and the energy field around her flickered and disappeared. "Luna!" Brianna caught her daughter as she collapsed. Luna's eyes were back to their normal green color, but she looked exhausted. "Luna, okay, Mama, but Big Magic very tired for little body." Dylan knelt down beside them. "Luna, what you just did, that was incredible. But how did you know you could do all that?" "Luna always know, but Luna's scared to show because different is scary for people." The mother bear approached them slowly, with the cub still riding on her back. She stopped a few feet away and made a series of gentle sounds toward Luna. "Mama Bear, say thank you," Luna translated weakly. "Mama Bear, say Luna saved Baby Bear and Mama Bear too." "What are they going to do now?" Brianna asked. Luna listened to the bear's continued vocalizations. "Mama Bear no safe place in mountains where water's still clean. Mama Bear take Baby Bear there. But Mama Bear want Luna to know something important." "What?" "Mama Bear say Luna special gift. Luna bridge between human world and animal world. Mama Bear say other animals need Luna's help too." The bears began walking away toward the forest, but the cub jumped down from its mother's back and ran back to Luna. It gently touched its nose to Luna's hand, then returned to its mother. "Baby Bear give Luna present," Luna said, holding up her hand. Baby Bear give Luna courage for what coming next. "What's coming next, sweetheart?" Luna looked toward the mountains, where smoke was beginning to rise from the direction of the copper mine. "Mine have big problem. Poison getting worse. Many more animals need help." Dylan followed Luna's gaze and saw the smoke. "That's not normal smoke. Something's wrong at the mine." As if summoned by Luna's words, Dylan's phone rang. It was his supervisor from the power company. "Dylan, we need you back at the control room immediately. We're getting reports of a major environmental emergency at the Copper Creek mine. There's been some kind of containment failure, and toxic chemicals are flowing into the entire watershed." Luna looked up at her parents with tired but determined eyes. Luna's real work just beginning. Dylan hung up the phone and looked at the smoke rising from the mountains. "Luna, sweetheart, you've already done so much today. You saved the bear family. Maybe we should let the authorities handle the mine situation." But Luna shook her head, though her small body was still trembling from exhaustion. Authorities not understand like Luna understand. Animals calling for help. Luna hear them. As if to prove her point, the forest around them began filling with sounds. Birds were calling from every direction. Small mammals were rustling in the underbrush, and even insects seemed to be creating a chorus of distress. It was like every living creature in the valley was trying to communicate something urgent. "Luna, what are they saying?" Luna closed her eyes and listened carefully. When she opened them again, tears were streaming down her face. "Poison, spreading very fast. Many animal families separated like bear family was. Baby animals lost. Mama animals sick and confused." Brianna felt her heart breaking as she watched her 8-month-old daughter carry the weight of an entire ecosystem's suffering. "Luna, you're just a baby. This is too much responsibility for someone so young." "Luna, not just baby mama, Luna chosen for this. Turbine spirit show Luna truth." Luna placed her tiny hand back on the turbine tower, and immediately the gentle vibration returned. But this time, instead of the violent energy from before, it was soothing and warm. "Turbine spirit very old," Luna said, her voice taking on that echoing quality again. "Turbine spirit remember when Valley was paradise, when humans and animals lived in harmony. Turbine spirit been waiting for Bridge person to return." "Bridge person?" Dylan asked. "Person who speak both languages, human language and earth language. Luna, the first bridge person in many generations." The wind around them began to carry new sounds, not just animal calls, but something that sounded almost like music. The turbine blades were spinning in that complex pattern again, but now all 5 turbines in the valley were moving in perfect synchronization, creating a harmony that resonated through the ground and into their bones. "Luna," Brianna whispered, "what's happening now?" Luna asking all turbine spirits to help, not just one turbine, all turbines in Valley. Together, turbine spirits very powerful. As Luna spoke, the most incredible thing began to happen. The smoke from the mining disaster started to change direction. Instead of spreading across the valley, it was being drawn upward into organized columns that the spinning turbine blades seemed to be filtering and cleaning. "The turbines are acting like giant air purifiers," Dylan realized. "They're literally cleaning the poison out of the atmosphere." But Luna wasn't finished. She began making her communication sounds again, but this time they were being amplified somehow, carried by the wind to every corner of the valley. And incredibly, responses came back. Hundreds of animal voices responding to Luna's call. Within minutes, they could see movement throughout the forest. Animals were emerging from their hiding places and moving with purpose. Not toward the mine where the danger was greatest, but toward clean water sources and safe areas that Luna was somehow directing them to. "Luna showing all animals where safe places are," she explained. "Luna making map in animal language." A family of deer bounded past them, followed by a group of rabbits, then a family of foxes. None of the animals showed fear of the humans. Instead, several of them paused to make grateful sounds toward Luna before continuing on their way. "It's like Noah's Ark," Brianna said in wonder. "You're guiding all the animals to safety." But the most amazing sight was yet to come. The mother bear and her cub returned, but they weren't alone. Behind them came other bears, adults and cubs who had been separated by the mine's poisoning effects. As each reunited family passed Luna, they paused to acknowledge her with gentle sounds before heading toward the mountains where the water was still clean. Luna swayed again, and Brianna caught her. "Sweetheart, you need to rest. You've used too much energy. Almost finished, Mama. One more important thing." Luna looked toward the mine, where the smoke was still rising despite the turbine's filtering efforts. Poison still coming from source. Luna need to talk to mine. "Luna, you can't communicate with a mine. It's not alive like the animals and the turbines." Luna smiled weakly. "Everything alive, Mama. People just forget. Mine very sick right now, but mine can be healed too." She placed both hands on the turbine tower, and this time the vibration that resulted was so powerful that car alarms began going off in the village below. The turbine blades spun faster than they ever had before, generating massive amounts of electrical energy that began arcing between the towers like lightning. "Luna!" Dylan shouted over the noise. "This is too dangerous." But Luna's voice came back clear and strong, somehow audible despite the chaos. Luna not in danger. Luna connected to Earth's own energy now, Luna more powerful than ever before. The electrical arcs from the turbines began reaching toward the mine, creating a network of energy that stretched across the entire valley. When the electricity reached the mining facility, something miraculous happened. The toxic spill began to reverse itself. The poisoned water that had been flowing downstream started flowing backward, drawn by some force none of them could understand. The contaminated soil began to bubble and steam as unknown processes cleaned and purified it. Even the air around the mine cleared as the toxic gases were neutralized by the electrical energy Luna was channeling. "How is this possible?" Dylan asked in amazement. "Earth know how to heal itself," Luna explained. "Luna just remind Earth how to remember." Within an hour, the entire valley looked different. The water in the streams ran clear again. The air smelled fresh and clean. Even the forest looked greener and more vibrant than it had in months. Animals began returning to areas they had avoided for weeks. Fish jumped in the streams. Birds sang with joy instead of distress. It was like watching the entire ecosystem come back to life. Luna finally released her connection to the turbine, and the electrical light show ended. She collapsed into Brianna's arms, completely exhausted but smiling. "Luna did it, Mama. Valley safe now. Animals safe now." Dylan knelt down beside them, his face full of wonder and pride. "Luna, what you've done today, you've saved an entire ecosystem. You've brought families back together. You've healed the land itself." "Luna, just remember what humans used to know," she said sleepily. "Humans and animals and Earth all connected, all part of same family." As the sun began to set behind the mountains, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, the valley fell into a peaceful quiet. The turbines spun gently in the evening breeze, no longer the industrial machines they had been that morning, but something more like monuments to the harmony between technology and nature. The bear family appeared one last time at the edge of the forest. The mother bear stood on her hind legs and made a long, musical sound that seemed like a song of gratitude. The cub waved with one paw, a gesture so human-like that it brought tears to everyone's eyes. Other animal families joined the bears: deer, foxes, rabbits, birds, even a family of raccoons. They had all come to say goodbye and thank you to the tiny human who had given them back their home. Luna waved back with her small hand. "Goodbye, friends. Luna always here if you need help." As the animals disappeared back into the forest, Dylan's phone rang one more time. It was his supervisor again. "Dylan, I don't know how to explain this, but every environmental sensor in the valley is showing readings we've never seen before. The air quality is perfect. The water is cleaner than it's been in decades. Even the soil composition has somehow been restored to pristine levels." Dylan looked at his 8-month-old daughter, who was now sleeping peacefully in Brianna's arms. "Sometimes, sir, the most important things can't be explained. They can only be experienced." That night, as they tucked Luna into her crib, she opened her green eyes one more time and smiled at her parents. "Luna loved Mama and Daddy very much," she said softly. "Luna proud to be bridge between worlds." "We love you too, Luna," Brianna whispered, "and we're so proud of who you are." Tomorrow, Luna teach Mama and Daddy how to listen to Earth voices too. Then whole family be bridge people. As Luna drifted off to sleep, her parents stood by her window looking out at the valley. The wind turbines spun peacefully under the starlight, and somewhere in the forest, they could hear the gentle sounds of animals settling in for the night in their newly healed home. "Do you think this really happened today?" Brianna asked quietly. Dylan put his arm around her and smiled. "I think our daughter just showed us that impossible is just another word for things we haven't learned to believe in yet. In the distance, a bear cub's happy chirping could be heard echoing across the valley, a sound of pure joy from a baby who was safe at home with its family once again. And in her crib, Luna smiled in her sleep, dreaming of all the wonderful conversations she would have tomorrow with her friends in the forest. The valley was whole again, and love had made it possible.